The spectators are long gone, but John Smit and I have almost a front row seat in the Principality Stadium in the aftermath of the Springboks' third and final win of their three-match UK tour. The first time they've gone unbeaten on an end-of-year tour since 2013. This is the What Goes on Tour vodcast, the last edition for this tour, and it's been such a privilege to bring you news from inside the camp, catching up with players from Scotland, England and Wales, and they've been so generous with their time. And Smitty, you joined me here in commentary in Cardiff. Help me sum up these 3 weeks. They've been a special 3 weeks, not only on the field for the Springboks, but in terms of rekindling old friendships in the rugby world, and not least for yourself.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks for me. I landed the Sunday of the Edinburgh Test.
Going soft.
Yeah, I know, but 2 weeks is more than enough. I don't think I could have managed another week on tour. You know, we've had some amazing get-togethers. We had the Players Fund event at the Wolfpack that was supported by the South African team, and we've had a bit of paddle as well, some of the ex-players. So myself and Al Hargreaves absolutely destroyed Justin Marshall and George Cregan on the paddle court.
Excellent.
Brian Abana also 0 from 2. He brought Francois Hooghart after he lost his first game. He tried to upgrade his partner.
And no problems with the Achilles tendons then?
Well, not for me yet. I'm not a big chaser, as you can well imagine. So, the beers, catching up with ex-players, with ex-friends, and then having the privilege to be able to watch this team of ours, which is in such an unbelievable space, beat the opposition 3 weeks in a row, have a season like this. You know, you walk around a stadium like this and people will congratulate you on the game. I mean, when we've had absolutely nothing to do with the game other than talk about it. And I think that's just the legacy that this team is built on, which makes me massively proud.
I had a very special moment earlier this week. Right next door to the Principality Stadium here is the original site of Cardiff Arms Park. And I came along here to a choir practice of the Cardiff Arms Park a male choir, and I got to stand in their midst, in amongst the harmony, and sing the South African national anthem, listen to them perform their anthem. And as I said on commentary this evening, if it was a singing contest, you could call it off almost before it started.
Absolutely. There's always been something special about coming to Cardiff, and they've never let us down in terms of how they prepare. I mean, that pre-game, the Thunderstruck, I mean, that would have got me going as well. So I know I've got to come back to the choir, but it's always been synonymous with anything that we've done in Wales. There's always been this male choir that sings for us, whether we're at a reception, at a parliament, wherever we go. It's just part of their culture, and that's, I think, the one thing that you take out of these trips is that you're living in a different culture completely.
And when the Springboks got off the bus and walked towards their changing room, there was a choir set up there in the foyer of the stadium singing Bread of Heaven as they walked past. Some of them had their earphones in and they were listening to their own music, but there was some real acknowledgement there as to the special nature of the harmony and the music. There's a lot, as the choir told me the other night. He said to me, singing, you know, it's like rugby without the bumps, because you need the harmony.
Yeah. And one thing about the Welsh, and I think I would put South Africa and New Zealand into the same category of nations that love rugby, and they've always been massively passionate, and they've loved the game. And you know, having sat with some of the Welsh people after the game and listening to the comments, they're hurting around where this team is, and it's incredible. They're all just passionate about the game and just want their team to be competitive again. I don't think they were expecting a win, but I think the one thing that the Welsh team did do was make them proud. They kept at it until the last minute, scored a try right in the death, tried to go as hard as they could on defence. But Wales needs its rugby team to be more competitive, and I think we're going to see a massive impetus on that from them.
We had a brief conversation in commentary about this. It's an extraordinary situation that Warren Gatland is now 0 from 12 with this Welsh team, and yet he's achieved so much with Welsh rugby in the past, and indeed with the British and Irish Lions. He's got gates at this stadium named after him, the Gatland Gate, and yet suddenly the rugby public has turned on him. It can't be one man's problem, can it?
That is the cruel reality of coaching. And he has done more for Welsh rugby than anyone in its history in terms of where he's taken this team, Grand Slams, the win percentages, British and Irish Lions. It's just been incredible. But sometimes it's difficult. If you don't have the cattle, it's hard to farm. And he's probably the one guy that understands this team the best, that's got a chance of putting together a young group of 23, 24, 25-year-olds and making them believe that they actually can start winning games again. The other reality is it's such a poison chalice in terms of the coaching world. There's not too many other coaches jumping up to put their hand up to take on a team like this. So I do think that Wales need to show patience. They need to believe in Gats and give him a chance. He's the guy that's got it within him to build something.
Just back to some tour stories. Smitty mentioned the function that we had in London during the build-up week to the England game for the Chris Berger Petra Jackson Players Fund. That was at the Wolfpack, hosted by Alistair Hargreaves. We had another event, albeit a morning event, so not nearly the kind of consumption that you'd get at an evening event, but still funds raised, and important funds raised for the Chris Berger Petra Jackson Fund, which is very close to your heart. In fact, it's close to all the Springboks' hearts. And to have 6 Springboks there in a test match week, lending their weight to the cause, very, very special here in Cardiff.
I think it's what we love about the game. It's a community. We look after each other, and the Players Fund is integral. We're starting off with Chris Berger and Petra Jackson, creating an awareness of we need to look after people that have had spinal injuries in the game. Being a trustee is an absolute privilege because we have the opportunity to try and sustain this care for people that have been hurt in the game. So to see that the Springbok teams adopted that sort of fund makes them realize just how important that they are to the game and the people that haven't quite had the same opportunities. And that's for me everything. You walk around here, people look after each other in the game, and that's our responsibility.
They're aware of that responsibility, these Springboks. They take it very seriously. They take it to heart. They take their spectators, their supporters very seriously as well. And as we reflect on the year in Test rugby and 11 victories in 13 matches, with the only losses being by a solitary point. And boy, do we know what it means to win a game by 1 point. We only have to go just over a year back to inspire those memories. But Rassie Erasmus said after the World Cup, starting this year, I want to build depth without sacrificing results because people want you to win. And when you look at 50 players used in a season of 11 victories from 13 attempts, and also where you can see what's being built, it's a hugely exciting time for South African rugby, isn't it?
Absolutely. But I don't think there's ever been a coach that's had the opportunity to be able to do that. And so I guess winning 2 World Cups in a row gives you that leeway, and Rassie's used that to his advantage. But he hasn't sacrificed results. And so I reckon every coach in the world is going, how does he get it right? How has he been able to keep winning, play 51 players in a single year, build depth, and finish the season as possibly coach of the year again? That's the reality. And I think that coaches earn that right to be able to do what Rassie and his coaching staff have done, and that comes through time. Other coaches like Gats, he probably had a bit of leeway, but now he's been regarded as Wales' most successful coach. But you lose 12 in a row, they start questioning why your name's on the gate. That's just how fickle the world of rugby is. So where Rassie's been smart is where he's had room to manoeuvre, he's used it extremely well.
Just a word on a Welsh legend that I got to catch up with this week, Jamie Roberts. He spoke about the most physical test match that he'd ever played, the second test of the British and Irish Lions series, where you were the captain in 2009, and absolutely loved playing in South Africa, not only for his country and for the Lions, but coming to play in the colours of the Stormers as well. He's got a great affinity with South African rugby. Said he's coming out for a family holiday in January. And these Welsh legends are hurting.
Yeah. I had a long conversation with Scott Winnell, and he bleeds Welsh rugby, and he's super positive. He's super pragmatic around where they are, but you can just see that it hurts. As proud as I am to be an ex-Springbok, with Sia and his boys making us more and more proud, he's in the exact opposite position. And so, and I think people have to understand, the Welsh love the game as much as we do. So I saw that hurt today in that locker room.
Let's talk about Sia, because he's a man who came to you in the early stages of his captaincy tenure. He asked you for advice, you mentored him. How proud is John Smit of Siamtanda Kolisi right now?
Well, you make it sound as if I've helped him on his journey. I think Sia was always going to be extremely successful. He's taken every single chance he's ever been given. And I think what makes me proud of him as our captain is how he embraces people, he embraces South Africa, plays his heart out every single weekend, and always has time. The last guy to leave the stadium, take pictures, maybe expose his jocks a little bit for the fans. But he's just lovable. It's hard to dislike Sia, and I think it's because he fights for us and for his team every single weekend, and he does it in a manner that I think people love. And that's really what I think is the difference between Sia and any other guy, is how much he's embraced that actual role, how much he's learned. He's become better at media, he's become better at people, but he just gets better and better every year.
Second only to you in terms of the number of times you've captained your country. You played well over 100 test matches. Here in Cardiff, final test of the season, your second match in live commentary. Your thoughts on the enjoyment of that experience?
Man, I think I'm going to leave live commentary to you. It's a lot easier just to watch the game and have a beer. So to have to pay attention to every single minute is definitely not. I don't think it's my skill, but I realized quickly that to do commentary well with Matt Pearce is to say as little as possible. Wait for you to take a breath and then say something. So thank you for nursing me through my third attempt at commentary.
You're very kind. Now, just wrapping it all up, not only the tour, but the season. I think the great thing is, we've been saying a lot during the course of the build-up to this Wales test, that the management and the players were saying after the first two tests on tour, yes, we scored 4 tries in each of those tests. Yes, we beat Scotland at Murrayfield, a packed Murrayfield. We beat England at a packed Twickenham, but we're not satisfied. 7 tries to 2 again against Wales here this evening.
Yeah.
Fabulous performance, but there'll be plenty of elements there where they will take a hard look, and when they get together again in the middle of next year, they'll go, we've got plenty to work on and plenty to build.
I think that therein sums up why they've become such a great era of Springbok, because there's just zero complacency. There's never a satisfaction with, we've done enough. And I think that's why they've been able to go back to back. They've been able to sort of maintain that number 1 position in the world, because there's always work to be done. They always chase each other. You can see the senior players, they get pretty tough on each other as well. Rassie, as we well know, gets stuck into them if he thinks that there's someone that's not in line. So I think that's really it. They're the least complacent group of Springboks I've ever come across.
Well, John, huge thanks to you for being here with us in Cardiff this week and for your contribution to what goes on tour. Massive thank you to Shimmy back home as well, and of course to our guests that we had midweek, Scott Hastings in Edinburgh, Johan van Graan, the head coach of Bath, who joined us in London, and then Jamie Roberts, the Welsh legend, in his front room to get out of the snow this week in Cardiff. It's been such a treat bringing you the What Goes On Tour vodcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. We really do appreciate the positive feedback, and there's been so much positive feedback. So subscribe to the SuperSport YouTube channel, and when we're back on tour again, we'll be keeping you up to date and making sure that not everything that goes on tour stays on tour. It's time to come home. Signing off from Cardiff.